Welcome to Live at the Library, What's Going On. This year we're celebrating 40 years of the Music Library in Cork, and we have a series of interviews with contemporary Cork musicians from all genres.
Must be the witching hour. City's getting smaller. The river keeps on lapping, and techno beats keep tapping. But you never lack sad songs. So get your groove on. Let's do the time warp again. Tucky Street, those high-flies tweet, overheating Facebook, 30s fast approaching. It's all screens and apps, no talking. In smoking rooms, they curse their jobs, you lob the gob. She's skirting around, is flirting, looking for the real thing.
Hi Sheena,
Thanks very much for coming in to chat.
Thanks for having me.
You and I go back a long way, probably to your teens, I think, coming into Crowley's Music Centre.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, do you remember a moment when you realised that music was vital to you?
When I probably bought my first piano off you, which I still have now.
For your 18th birthday, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's 16 years ago.
Yeah.
So I think being 4, and just my mom's friend Phil had a piano, and I just kind of gravitated towards it. I always loved playing it. So, just kind of like a magnet.
Yeah. And did you buy a guitar as well at Tanglewood or something? Did you play guitar?
I don't. I play really badly.
Yeah.
I play bass better.
All right.
But I'd love to learn guitar. So I might be ringing you for some tips.
I thought at one stage, I don't know that you play guitar, but I always associate you with piano, of course. You teach music, don't you, in school?
I do, in Quakelosh Devura in the North Man. So we're in the midst of music practicals at the moment, which is great. They're great kids, and I think when you're an artist as well, or that sounds very pretentious, but if you're a songwriter and you're gigging as a solo singer and songwriter, you're very much in your own head. So I think it's cool that you get to have a different hat that you can put on.
Yeah.
It kind of takes you out of your own stuff,
Yeah. I was thinking there that did you ever see the video by Anita Collins about how the brain benefits from playing an instrument? Did you ever see that video? It's really, really good. It's about how the audio, visual and motor cortices are all activated together simultaneously, and
right.
All that is so good for you. So how much time do they get in school for music? How much is it allowed like that?
It is. It's an optional subject, but I think even there's a culture like in Wales of men, there's that whole macho thing, I can't sing, which younger teen boys have, but they kind of grow out of it. But I think it's just, you have to really promote it. Like in Wales, every rugby player sings in a choir. It's just part of their kind of DNA, and they're kind of cruciated into it from a very early age.
Yeah.
I think it's getting better here, but they have a good bit of time, and there's a lot of musical stuff going on in the school. There's rock bands and trad bands and choirs.
Yeah, you love it anyway, I can tell that.
I do,
yeah. In the last 2 years, you've been enjoying a surge of successes, I should say, really. What would you attribute it to?
I think probably just waiting a long time. I'm a bit of, even though I'm kind of disorganized in a lot of aspects of my life, I'm quite perfectionist when I am writing songs, and I suppose I had 10 years to write songs and kind of perfect them for me. So when they went out there, it was kind of like, I think they were strong. So
when Dreamcatcher came out, that was the beginning. But what I thought was very interesting is how you chose to release the singles, the songs one at a time. What was the thinking behind that strategy?
I suppose I just wasn't a known, entity, I think, at all by any standard. I'm probably still not in a lot of places, but I think it's a real shame when a band or someone solo bring out a body of songs and they haven't, I suppose, had any promotion, or they haven't put themselves out there. And it might be a brilliant album, which is often the case, and they've one single, and if the single dies, there's 9 or 10 or 11 other songs that just never will be heard,
Lost
unfortunately.
word, yeah.
So I kind of wanted to stifle it, and I was lucky, I suppose. I had a lot of mates who have been through the process and knew what worked and what didn't work, like people like Marlene Enright and John Blake and you know, O Emperor. Kind of watching how they do things as well is very, it kind of gives you a sense of what to do.
A lot of support, I suppose. I loved your videos as well. I thought they were excellent, and I did actually like seeing the individual songs coming out. And when the album came out, then I knew, like, and I was delighted.
I was almost out of songs.
Do you have a lot of material that you would be ready to work on album too?
I do. I'm already working on it.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of different sides to me musically, and I think that's the hardest part, to try and find a definite sound or type of songs that fit on one project. And I think even on the first album, I suppose, you know, your taste change as you get older. And the earliest song that I wrote when I was 16, to give you an example of how, you know, so I think musically and even lyrically, some of them are very different from each other. But Christian Best, who produced it, did a brilliant job. He kind of brought some segment into it and sequenced it, and, you know, even sonically.
Yeah.
But I suppose the new songs, they're all new songs, so I've one kind of collection of songs that are slightly Talking Heads vibe, even moving towards electro, and then I've piano ballads, and I might just bring out 2 different EPs of 2 different kind of flavours.
Very good. What song do you like to perform more than any from Dreamcatcher? Is there one particular song?
At the moment, I'm kind of like, I need new songs, you know. But I like playing Nostalgia because it opens the album, and it's just piano and voice. It's the only song on the album with just piano and voice.
Well, I mean, as your first album, it's a massive accomplishment. It's really successful in individual songs, but as an album, it reached number 5 in the charts, and that's incredible.
It was great. Yeah, and I didn't expect it, but there was a lot of support there, and I think as the songs were released, and there was a kind of a, you know, I had a plan. I don't have a plan for a lot of things. I kind of wing things often, but I did put a lot of time into how I do it, and I suppose when the album came out, you know, the name was out there, and I'd been playing for about a year live, and I had an EP out as well, which could kind of, you know, like mini steps all the way. But no, it got great traction and radio play and really good reviews. So.
Well, I was going to ask you that about airplay and that, because you were on many radio programs and you were on the Late Late Show.
Yeah.
And the fact that your album was number 5 in the charts, did you get the airplay that you deserved? I'm not sure really how it works, but did you feel that it was covering you the way it should be?
I think so, yeah. I mean, I'm still getting played, and I almost feel undeserving of it, because there's, you know, RT Radio 1 have been amazing, particularly. You know, there's playlisters there like Aidan Butler and people presenting the shows like Fiachna and Colin Murray and Philip King. They really promote new music, new Irish music, and it doesn't matter if it's a rock band or if it's country or blues or, you know, something that, like me, that you can't really easily put into a box. They just promote new music. If you look at the playlists every 2 weeks, it's really, really important, I think, that they do that, and they do. Red FM have been great to me. Dave Mack all my singles have been on it, so it's kind of cool when you might have something slightly poppy, but it gets played on, I suppose, a local radio station that's very popular.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
And Alan Donovan as well on Red FM, and Michael Carr on 96 FM, and El Marie in the morning on the Arts Show. Those two programs in particular on 96 FM are really, really supportive.
Well, I'm wondering, does genre classification maybe constrain your creativity? Not for you necessarily, just generally.
I think it can.
Does it possibly lose some listeners because of, you know,
yeah,
I'm
I suppose,
into this music, but I won't listen to that?
Yeah, maybe it will. I think a lot of my songs, though, they're little bits of everything. They're hard to define. You know, and I just love music, and I think a lot of people do too. There's very little, you know, maybe country and Irish, you know. All due respect to Big Tom this week, but it wouldn't be my biggest flavour, you know. I love American country and Irish traditional music, but not a lot of the Irish stuff. But that's just me. Everyone's got different taste.
Absolutely. Your voice is, you have a very strong voice, you have a beautiful voice, but sometimes when you're singing, some of your songs are kind of dramatic, and it almost makes me think, like, I was wondering one day, I wonder, did you ever try singing opera, or did you ever train, did you train classically? Or
I didn't, no. I did a gig recently in the Opera House, and I had to sing with Cara O'Sullivan. I have a very strong voice, I don't know where that comes from, but I hope it's not like Meatloaf dramatic, you know. But
no, I mean, it's powerful, more than dramatic, it's powerful.
And sometimes I wish it was more subtle, you know, but I have a tendency to...
Oh, I think it's brilliant.
Thanks.
Absolutely, I really do, like, and I loved it, the album, when you gave it to me as well. I was delighted with myself, but I had been paying attention along the way anyway, of course.
Yeah, you know, it's cool. I mean, I do listen to opera. I wouldn't be an expert, but I love Maria Callas and, you know, Pavarotti, and yeah, it might be interesting. I just worry that if I did get it trained, I wouldn't be able to sing other types of music.
Yeah, sometimes it's better.
But it's interesting. I went to see Maura Neolig in Ballincollig on Friday, and I just think she's amazing. You know, and I don't listen to a lot of trad, but for me, her lower notes are so strong, and she's had no training either. But she reminded me of Sarah Vaughan. I kind of asked her, "Do you sing jazz?" And she said no. Yeah. So it's just it's interesting how you can.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. I suppose everybody listening anyway, we're all kind of getting a slightly different sense of it. So
totally, yeah.
That's.
But I mean, I would have loved growing up like Freddie Mercury and Robert Plant and you know, people like that, kind of who were big singers.
What did it feel like playing on the Late Late Show, by the way?
It was cool. It was really nice because I suppose the song that I played was it was the longest, and the song on the album had the most chords, and it was the slowest. But it got a lot of airplay, I suppose, because of the subject matter, and it was the anthem for the Yes campaign. Yeah, it was great. It got a lot of exposure, I suppose.
Yeah, but did you feel nervous going up there now? And
I actually wasn't, funnily enough. I went up with Aisling Fitzpatrick, my friend and my cellist.
Yeah, she's brilliant.
She's great, and it was nice to have someone there with you to share it, you know.
Yeah, you've good musicians backing you sometimes, don't you? Like Thomas Crowley as well, and then of course you've Davy Ryan.
Yeah, my band are
like,
really solid, like Davy on drums and Hugh Dillon on guitar and Dave Duffy on bass, and I like that. I mean, I think as a piano player, it's easy to play solo gigs, and to, you know, it's financially, I suppose, more viable, but it gets a bit lonely when you're doing that a lot. Yeah. So I love playing with a band anyway, especially for the rockier songs. You need that.
You like to collaborate as well, I'd say, do you, with Marlene? And
I do. Yeah. Well, Davy and myself and Duffy and Marlene, we were all in college together since, I'd say UCC days, maybe since I was 18, so we've known each other that long.
Did you study music in college?
We all did together, yeah.
I didn't realise that now, yeah. That's
so out of that year, there was a huge amount of...
Yeah, serious talent emerged.
Yeah, well, there's a great vibe in Cork, I think, at the moment, of just songwriting and music, and it's not particularly one genre, but what I like about it, I think, compared to other cities, is that there's a lot of collaboration, even if you're an orchestral player, or if you're in a punk band, or, you know, you play, you know, bebop. It doesn't, everyone plays with each other in different ways, and it's cool, you know.
You mentioned when you were on the Late Late Show, you played Silence, wasn't it? Yeah. So did that win the International Songwriting Competition? That song is the one that won it, was it?
It did, yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing as well. I mean, how many entrants was there for the whole, not maybe the whole competition,
I think I wrote 10,000 and it went out in the press, and then they actually emailed me saying I think it was something like 5,000. So
a serious number though.
Bit of an exaggeration, yeah.
It must have been a massive confidence boost though, was it, to win that? Yeah,
it was. I mean, I often feel doubtful about a lot of my songs, but I knew that was a good song, because it's not something that's been written about a lot, and I just thought it really gelled with the music, and it's really honest, I suppose. So,
absolutely, yeah.
I was really happy though, because there's words in that song that are really, you know, colloquial to Cork and to Ireland. So the fact that someone like Tom Waits and Bill Withers could hear something in it was cool.
Brilliant, absolutely. And was it before the album came out that you sent that in?
It was after, I think, yeah.
It was after it, yeah.
Yeah, it just seems a bit like I'm not responsible for any of this. There's all these little things that keep happening that are cool.
That's what I was asking earlier on about what you think was responsible for your surge of successes, because I thought maybe winning that competition, everything just lifted off with it, or there's so many things that have happened to the Late Late Show and so on and so on. But then how come Amnesty International picked up silence for the anthem for the same-sex marriage referendum for the Yes campaign? How did that come about?
I met Colm O'Gorman, who works for Amnesty, and was pretty vocal in the whole campaign. And he heard the song and he loved it, so he pushed it.
Brilliant, yeah.
Yeah.
When you're writing, are you? I listen to this, like I follow it all the way through. It's like as if you're telling a story. Is that how you approach writing generally, or tell me how you construct a song?
It is, yeah. I don't really the words part of it don't come that easily, I must be honest. So with a song like Silence they did, but I'm always coming up with melodies and kind of chord progressions and grooves, but there's hundreds of them there, but they don't have lyrics.
Yeah.
I don't know why that is. Because I teach English as well, but I think I have a really high filter of what's good and what isn't. You know, when you listen to people like Tom Waits and Paul Simon and Joni Mitchell, Bob Dylan, Leonard Cohen, you can't settle for something
stay set the bar too high for you.
Do you know? But I mean, it'd be nice sometimes to just write something and say.
But you have very clever lyrics, in fairness. Like
thanks.
almost in every song, there's something that strikes, and it's not just the colloquialisms as well that obviously they appeal to me. But even what is it? Nostalgia starts with "I want to live and die to the beat."
That's naivety, yeah.
Naivety, yeah. That grabs you straight away. And there's many things that I would listen to and I think, yeah, that's very clever, you know. So I think it's all really good. But tell me, who has inspired you along the way?
In Cork or outside?
No, it can be anything. But it can be music or not music.
I suppose my parents really inspired me because they listened to a lot of good stuff at home, you know, and it was very eclectic. Everything from George Jones to you know, Puccini to Louis Armstrong to Ella Fitzgerald to Johnny Cash, you know, to Rory Gallagher.
Yeah.
They both listened to a lot of stuff, and I had really good music teachers. In school, I'd on piano I'd Mary Bullman down at McSivna and Marion McCarthy, and Mick Lynch in clarinet. John O'Connor in the band in Ballincollig. He's now in School of Music. He, you know, you don't really appreciate it when you're young, but you look back, especially when you're now a teacher, and you say, God, how did he do all that, or how did any of them do any of that?
Yeah.
You know, so I think along the way, just a lot of good people who.
Everybody has made it all part of you, like So, what album would stand out to you that blew you away, like over whether it was something that you were listening to through your parents or? Yeah,
it's hard to. I was from a singing point of view. I remember in TY I got a job in Vibes and Scribes when it was still a music shop. I thought it was shit hot cool, but
Did you? You were in?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
I was there for about 2 years.
Oh.
But I was 16, and I suppose I was exposed to stuff I never would have heard before. So singer-wise, I heard I was listening to Desire by Bob Dylan, and I heard Emmylou Harris, and I kind of was like, and I kind of used to disregard a lot of country music, but I something about her voice really kind of I zoned in on it, and I bought Wrecking Ball then, and you know that one she did with Daniel Lanois. Yeah. And singing wise and just production wise, I thought that was amazing. And then songwriting, I heard Joni Mitchell, I heard Blue for the first time, and kind of blew my mind. Away. Yeah. There's lots actually, probably, isn't there? Too much, yeah. I could go on all day. It's brilliant. But I'm just wondering, have you ever had a day where you woke up early in the morning, right till when you went to bed again at night, where you're so immersed in music that you're almost dreaming about music, and then the following days that you're so inspired in everything you do? Have you experienced that ever? Yeah. Yeah? Yeah. Well, I'm lucky. I think anyone who really lives and breathes it, you get an awful lot of happiness and solace from it, and comfort as well when you're going through a bad time. It's very cathartic, I think. You know.
Absolutely, yeah. So good for you. But do you think you dream in music? I mean, is that possibly that are you dreaming in playing the piano, or?
I suppose I do sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. So what's ahead for you for the next 6 months, would you say?
I did a lot of festivals last summer, so I did them all. So I'm taking a bit of a break. I'm gonna do a lot of writing. I'll probably travel a bit because it's been full on for about 2.5 years. So I have an EP, I have 2 EPs coming out in September, and I have a single called Myth coming out, which is kind of somewhere between Bowie and Sting, I think.
Yeah.
And that's coming out in early June. And then there's a big gig coming up in the Opera House too, in June. It's the Right Here, Right Now festival again that Collins are doing at the Opera House. So it's myself and Anna Mitchell will be doing a gig.
Brilliant, Anna's great.
She's great. And I a lot of techno stuff. I'm doing a lot of stuff with Cormac at the moment, singing on his tracks, and it's a different vibe. So.
You've done support for lots of amazing acts as well, haven't you?
Yeah.
Joan Armour Trading and Sinead O'Connor and all that. Yeah. I mean, super. It's brilliant. But so we'll look forward to Myth, I suppose, and the EPs anyway.
Thanks.
I'm going to ask the lads, would they like to ask you a question? I see Jamie O'Shea down the back there.
Hey Jack, how's it going? Do you find it easy to come up with songs? Do you get a lot of ideas?
I do sometimes. I do when I'm not teaching. That sounds terrible. I'm in a different zone. And I suppose I'm more relaxed, and during the holidays I write a lot. I think you have to be disciplined about it though. I used to always have this kind of almost idealistic idea that music coming down to Mozart, it kind of comes from the gods, but I think everyone has to work at it. I think it took Leonard Cohen 11 years to write Hallelujah. You know, so and Nick Cave, like, every morning gets up and has a cigarette and coffee and goes into his office and sits down at a piano for 6 hours every day. And I think I heard Randy Newman saying it's like throwing, excuse my French, shit at a wall, and some of it will stick. Yeah. You know, and you have to be like, you can't expect a masterpiece just going to fall out of midair. Like, maybe sometimes it does.
Is it a vision in your head? You get that? Have you got everything clear in your head, or sometimes the way it develops, and it only can develop in.
Totally. It might be free. Someone says, my granny before she died, she was talking about, someone who had really helped her partner, and she said she ironed out his quiff, and I just thought it was brilliant, and it can kind of be like a segue then of just. That's going here, and this is where we're going to get to. Yeah. Another time it's just a stream of consciousness. Another time you might be just walking down and you hear a rhythm in your head, or a groove, or a melody, or a chord, and you're like, shit, my battery's dead, and you try and remember it, and then it's gone. Yeah. So.
Like, do you find it develops in recording as well? When you're in the process of recording, and it can take a direction.
Totally. I mean, the title track, Dreamcatcher, it ended up being almost like funk. Because there were so many sad ballads, we couldn't have another one. So, and Christian is a drummer, so he came up with this really cool groove, and I could kind of pretend I was Marvin Gaye for like 5 minutes. But yeah, I mean, that started off like a Neil Young song. Yeah. And then I brought it home to my dad with the backbeats and the guitars, and he was like, my dad was like, you ruined the song,
Brilliant, though.
It's an amazing process, though.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And you can always come back to the way it was anyway.
Yeah. So. And is there a cut-off point for you? As you were saying, you were kind of a perfectionist. Where's the kind of, you can keep on going with the.
You should talk to Christian. I think he did about like 40 takes of a mix, and I must have. He's a few grey hairs now, I'd say, because of me. But you do need a cut-off point. Yeah. And I think sometimes you can throw everything at it. String quartets and brass, and all it might need is just you with the piano or you with a guitar. That's all any song really needs, I think. The bare bones. Yeah. And I think a lot of stuff in pop at the moment anyway is very sparse. It's electro, but there's not a lot going on. So, yeah.
Thanks.
Was there a point of incentive down the line where you kind of went, okay, I live and breathe music. This is literally the one thing that I want to do. This is the one thing I know I can do, but what am I going to do to kind of get there? Like, or have you always had the attitude of like, as you said, kind of being patient and kind of putting in the time, like, and everything?
I think I'm kind of an introvert, even though I appear extroverted. I'm quite shy, but it's my place that I can go to and just feel totally. And I rarely get nervous, you know. And maybe the other day I had to do a music showcase in Dublin in front of, and there was two bands before me, Le Boom and Le Galaxy, which would be playing quite hardcore techno. And I had to go up there with my piano, stuff like that would make you nervous, you know. After following that, but you kind of, it's like getting older. You just get comfortable in your own skin. But sorry, I'm totally diverting from what you asked.
No, that's fine. That's actually
it's
answer better.
I don't think so. I think I was in fourth year, and I got the lead in my musical, and suddenly I was getting, you know, numbers from girls and stuff, and it felt good. So they were barking up the wrong tree, you know, but it was still cool, you know. Yeah.
Actually, when it comes to the songwriting process, do you try to make it as personal and as close to the bone as possible, or do you try to insert yourself as someone on the outside looking in regards to whatever subject matter you decide to write about?
It's a good question. I don't think I think about it that consciously. I think the first album was very personal. I don't know if these two EPs would be as much. A lot of them are kind of political, hopefully without being preachy.
Would that mean something to you?
Yeah, well, I suppose that's personal too, but it's not so much. But even Silence, I wrote it from the point of view of a third person, which is interesting. Looking in it, I suppose the younger version of me, it kind of makes it more identifiable for other people too, I think. Like that album by Joni, I think when she released Blue, she played it for Bob Dylan and Chris Christopherson. And I think Chris said to her, you can't release this, you have to leave something for yourself. But I suppose if she's being so raw and honest, other people who've been through the same thing will kind of go, you know, you're speaking my truth. Yeah. So.
Well, thanks very much for the questions.
Thanks.
Jack, thanks a million for coming
Sheena.
in.
Nice
I wish you all the successes, and I'm looking forward to the EPs and the myth as well. Cheers, thanks a million.
I wanna live and die to a beat. You could have been my dancing shoes. You could have been my dancing shoes. Waltz me out of the blue. You made all a balloon. I'll spin you around. You hit the ground with your Molly crew. You're searching for that joy de vivre. I would have been your right of way. Could have been your right of way. Never got beyond the foreplay. Pulled out like a Chevrolet. Breathing fire all around. Where your love knew no bounds. Let my heart astray. That strange and bitter fruit, playing poison notes, a root to the sun and the moon and stars. They had you figured long before I saw that light. It flickered in your Roswell eyes. Notion of a big surprise. It was lost to me. Naivety's a bitch, keeps giving me the third degree. Not for the first time or the last time. Whoa. trace of soul. Love, I got no secrets here, except the ones between us. When you're real can hide the hurt. Let our bodies intertwine in time. Don't be listening to the angel on your left side. He's holier than thou. Don't be tempted by the demons on your right. They're gonna reap what they sow. It'll be our finest moment. We'll carve a myth that the kids will learn at school. About two ancient lovers who love by breaking all the rules. Lover, be my Perseus. Scare away my gorgons. The serpent dies that hypnotize. The sweetest spot to storm. Lover, we'll ride Pegasus. From here to ever after. Rewrite all the prophecies. Let our bodies intertwine in time. Don't be listening to the angel on your left side. He's holier than thou. Don't be tempted by the demons on your right. They're gonna reap what they sow. It'll be our finest moment. We'll carve a myth that the kids will learn at school. About two ancient lovers who love by breaking all the Don't be listening to the angel on your left side. He's holier than thou. Don't be tempted by the demons on your right. They're gonna reap what they sow. It'll be our finest moment. We'll carve a myth that the kids will learn at school. About two ancient lovers who love by breaking all the rules. Breaking all the rules. Breaking all the rules. Lover, be my Icarus. Don't fly too high from me now. The suns that burn too brightly, but I'll catch you when you fall.
Well done, Jack.
I wanna live and die to a beat. You could have been my dancing shoes. You could have been my dancing shoes. Waltz me out of the blue. You made all a balloon. And I'll spin you round. You hit the ground with your Molly crew. You're searching for that joy de vivre. Would have been your right of way. Could have been your right of way. Never got beyond the foreplay. I pulled out like a Chevrolet. Breathing fire all around. Where your love knew no bounds at my outer stray. Strange and bitter fruit. Plain poison notes. A root to two. The sun and the moon and stars. They had you figured long before covered in ashes, you're covered in rain, you're covered in babies, you're covered in slashes, you're covered in wilderness, you're covered in stains. You cast aside the sheets, you cast aside the shroud of another man who served the world proud. You greet another son, you lose another one. On some sunny day, and always you stay, Mary. Jesus said, Mama, I couldn't stay another day longer. He flies right by and leaves a kiss upon her face, while the angels are singing his praises in a blaze of glory. Mary stays behind and starts cleaning up the place. Oh, Mary, she moves behind me. She leaves her fingerprints everywhere. Every time the snow drifts, even when the night shifts, even when the sun lifts, she's always there. Jesus said, Mama, I can't stay another day longer. He flies right by and leaves a kiss upon her face, while the angels are singing his praises in a blaze of glory. Mary stays behind and starts cleaning up the place. Oh, Mary, you're covered in roses, you're covered in ashes, you're covered in treetops, you're covered in birds who sing a song without no tune or any words. You cast aside the sheets, you cast aside the shroud of another man who served the world proud. You greet another son, you lose another one. On some sunny day, and always you stay. Mary. Oh,
Thanks, Miranda. That's brilliant.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.